Well, hello to you again.
Welcome again. Welcome back.
We are here recording another episode of the only Spokane Chiefs podcast out there right now.
Is it the only one?
As far as I know,
Wow.
it's like we were talking about earlier. It's cool to get attention. I got somebody recognized me at the game last night again as well.
Oh, did you?
So it's pretty cool. It's interesting getting recognized from a media thing like this, but
Yeah.
it's kind of cool at the
No,
same time.
we had that one section leader too that was talking to us on Friday night.
Yeah, Carter. Yeah.
I know he's been following for a while too, and he knew that we did this, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
It's cool getting a little bit of recognition and slowly starting to grow. And I think we're just on the come up from here.
I hope so. Hope so. But help if we could get some guests on that we wanted to have last episode, but
Yeah, at some point we'll make it happen.
yeah.
Still got that up and quick little recap episode. I don't have too much today. We just have like the two games to recap and then some other off ice news. And then I remember you were telling me something on Friday night that there was some shit that you wanted to talk about on the pod, but now I can't even remember what it was.
I can't remember now either.
um,
That was 2 days ago. You expect me to remember that?
I don't remember what I had for breakfast this
No,
morning. So,
me either. Well, I do actually. It was really good breakfast, but God, I don't remember either. Shoot.
do you remember saying that though?
I do, but I don't remember. Oh man. Oh, I think it was that one of the questions actually that was posed in the.
Hmm.
I do now remember. It was one of the questions that's posed in the thing you posted on Facebook today in the Chiefs group.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember
Oh,
that now?
no,
Did you
but
did you look at one of those? It was about a.
oh yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah,
it. That
yeah.
was it. And
Okay, that's right.
then I had somebody text the same thing to me that she got asked to ask us that too. And then when you posted that thing on Facebook today, somebody else asked it, or maybe it was the person that contacted her. I'm not sure, but
Right.
yeah, we can
Yeah.
talk about that.
Y-
That was it.
Yeah,
I
well,
remember now.
we'll get into that after the recap and everything, but
Yeah.
yeah, I do remember that now too. So, let's see. So going into Friday night, have a couple of Central Division teams coming into the arena on their U.S. Division trips. A couple of teams at the end of their road trip. I think Calgary, we were their second to last game, and then Red Deer last night, we were their last game of their trip. So
Yeah.
I have a couple of tired teams. You would think that they'd be tired teams coming in, and I mean Calgary looked nothing but
They looked
energized and ready to go.
looked fresh. They were fun to watch.
Chiefs looked pretty flat from the get-go, in all honesty. I think um we had Carter Essler in net his first game back from the U17 tournament in Canada. And he let in a couple of shaky ones. He didn't really look too sharp. And we were talking about it. It's like you can't expect too much from, a 16-year-old goalie who's just still trying to find his footing in the league
Yeah.
and everything too. So obviously stuff like that's going to happen. I mean, stuff like that still happens to Cowan every once in a while too, but
But you got to help him out too. Boy, there was not a lot of defensive help on Friday night.
there really wasn't. The defense, I especially the last handful of games, it's just like it's almost feels like something's up. Like something changed in how we were playing defensively. We're not throwing the body as much anymore. I
No.
I say Sage is probably the only one that continuously looks to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And saying that he was one of the handful of Chiefs that I thought actually played a really really good game on Friday.
He did.
I thought he looked confident and he was carrying the puck up the ice and getting into the zone
Mm-hmm.
and not turning it over, making some great plays. And I actually thought he played some pretty solid defense for the most part. But other than him, I didn't see anything really that I was too impressed with.
No, do you remember when I commented to you about halfway through the game and about how impressed I was with um, Calgary and how they were shooting the puck for rebounds all the time and throwing it in front of the net and trying to hit, and just the way they played to it created a rebound on every shot opportunity they got through. And that's, I mean, I understand that's hard to defend against defensively and stuff too, but there was not anybody really looking to clear pucks away. They got a lot of their goals off rebounds, off just second chance off a rebound off the pads.
Well, and that's the power of having a guy in your team like Carter Yakimchuk. I mean, I think we
That
saw
kid
him
was
play a couple years ago too, but man, he is unreal.
Every time he touched the puck, something good happened on Friday night.
No, he's a bigger guy. I think he's probably like 6'3", 6'4", maybe, but he's just a big dude defenseman. But man, he gets down and he'll dump and chase it himself, and he'll get down
Yes.
on the boards down low and make it out front. And more times than not, the puck's gonna end up in the back of the net. I mean, he's for being such a big, tall defenseman, he's very, very skilled offensively too.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
I was
He,
I was very impressed with him.
like I said, every time he touched the puck, something good happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And he got a goal and an assist in the game, was a +3, earned the second star, and rightfully so. I mean, very, very good player. Chiefs also just did not look like themselves, not even just defensively, but I mean, couldn't get anything going offensively either. Had a tough time getting the puck into the zone, and Calgary was kind of just shutting us down at the blue line for the most part, and you had to jump and chase, and then at that point you're turning it over again and it's going back the other way, and that's part of the reason why Calgary ended up with 7 goals.
That's a lot of goals.
And first period we were down 3-1 after the first period,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously you want to get off to a hot start, and giving up a goal up 47 seconds in is not the way to do it.
Not a
Actually, I don't even think it was 47 seconds in. It was like 13
20.
seconds in.
Yeah, it was quick.
um
It was quick.
Really quick, Chiefs answered back 6 minutes into the period. Chase Harrington, um another
He
one of
had a
the
good
Chiefs that I thought had a
he had a
really
good
good
game too.
game,
That whole line had a good game.
assisted by Cohen Harris, who also I think had a really, really good game, and Sage Weinstein, that was the first play that I noticed that it looked like Sage was kind of dialed in
Yeah.
on that game. Kind of drug it through 3 guys neutral ice and somehow made it his way through with the puck and fed it to Harris. And Harris had a perfect pass over to Harrington, who sniped it past the
Yeah, that was a
goaltender.
great
So
play.
it was a great play. And I was kind of thinking that maybe that would kind of re-energize us a little bit and kind of maybe turn things around. But unfortunately, it did not pan out that way because Ben Kindle came back for Calgary less than
Pretty
a minute
quickly.
later, and
Yeah.
they answered and retook the lead. And then from then on, it was all Calgary.
Remember what I told you guys at intermission? What was going to be at the end of the second?
5-2. Yeah.
and
Sure as shit.
it was.
Sure as shit.
I just had a feeling it was not going to change. I don't know why. I just did.
Well, and it didn't. I mean, from that point on, it's like this team has a hard time now as opposed to the beginning of the season. I didn't feel like it was much of an issue, but they have a hard time now with battling back after they've given up a multi-goal lead early in the game.
Yeah, the first 12 games of the year they didn't, but they do seem to have that difficult time lately. I don't know.
And it's interesting because I don't understand what changed. Like, if anything, like, changed. Like, there's nothing that I can really tell that,
Nothing that
like,
we can see, but I mean, who knows?
behind the scenes, everything could be something, could be whatever. I mean, we have so many forwards right now, and I'm sure that some guys are kind of worried that we might maybe have too many,
Yeah.
and one or two of them might have to go elsewhere or whatever at some point. Maybe they're just kind of gripping their sticks too hard. That could be part of it, but not a great start to the weekend though.
No, not at all.
I mean, I want to say the handful of players that I noticed that game were Sage, Chase Harrington, Cohen Harris, Owen Martin. I think those were like the only ones that really stood out to me at all. I don't think anybody else really had any sort of positive effect. In all honesty, it was pretty lackluster from the most of the team's effort.
Good description. Lackluster. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a nice way to put it, but definitely not the way you wanted to go. Chiefs got in some penalty trouble too, and weren't very good on the power play either, which seems to
No,
be a
but honestly, we were pretty good on the penalty kill, thank goodness, or it would have been 11-2.
yeah. Well, and they scored on their first power play pretty quickly into the first
They
power play,
did.
and then from then on we kind of buckled down
It was good on the power on the
and got
PK. Yeah,
better. Shots only had 22 shots for the whole
that's
game though. That seems
remember what
pretty
we
low
talked
for
about at
these
the beginning
guys.
of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
outshot
shot
14 to
down
8
two.
after the first, and only 3 shots in the third period. It's not going to cut it.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of moving the puck around the last couple of games that we've seen in person.
Mhm.
Honestly, I've seen a lot of individual type efforts,
Yeah.
which happens when you're a little frustrated, I think, as a team and stuff too, and you take a little on yourself. We're not moving the puck amongst ourselves nearly as much as we did at the beginning of the year. That's one thing I have noticed is different. I don't know if that attributes to anything. I'm not a hockey, you know, knowledge guy by any chance, any
Right.
stretch of the imagination. Just as an observer, we seem to be a lot of individual efforts and not a lot of passing, with the exception of the Harrington line that we talked about on Friday. They felt like they moved the puck between each other very well.
Well, and ever since they put that line together with Harrington, Martin, and Papanicus, it's been, I mean, consistent as hell all
It
season with
has.
the,
It has.
that line is just every single game they come to play and they come ready to go. And that's something that you should expect from, all of your forwards and I mean, everybody on your team.
Yeah.
But, guys like that I think they deserve to have a little bit more playing time, regardless of who your top line guys
Yeah.
are. I think
But
that they need to be kind of
but
pushed up in
but
the order a little bit. If they're
yeah,
playing that well and busting their ass,
keep them as a line, but just get them more time. Yeah.
one
Yeah.
hundred percent. And
Don't break them up.
well, and I mean, if that's the one line that's kind of consistently getting you guys going and everybody else is struggling, I don't see why you wouldn't do that.
Yeah. That's hard to
Um,
say.
the fourth line was, I thought, decent too. I think that kind of rotation that they have on the fourth line with Harris, Gillespie, and Parr, and then every once in a while they'll throw in Edwards or whoever else. And Saturday night we actually got Coco back,
Nice.
so he was on that fourth line, and I thought that fourth line had a very very good game on Saturday, and which was it's nice to see T-Bone kind of jump right back into everything and not really look like he's lost a step since not playing since the first 2 games of the season. Um,
Yeah.
but
That's
yeah,
good.
going back to Friday, it was other than that line and a handful of other guys, it was a pretty lackluster effort.
Yeah. It was hard to watch. I mean,
And
you saw what I did in the third period.
yeah, uh-huh.
I played a game on my phone for the entire third period. I've only done that one other time, and that was last year.
Yeah. And with the leaders that we have on the team, you kind of expect them to say something, just knowing the kind of guys that they are and everything, and like how they are on the ice, and I'm sure they are off the ice as well. You'd expect them to bounce back the next night, and
Yeah.
thank God we actually did. I'll tell you what, man.
Are you looking to improve your golf game in 2025? Look no further than Golf by Gun. Golf by Gun specializes in individual lessons, small group sessions for 2 to 3 people, and even corporate events to enhance your networking skills on the green. In addition, couples golf lessons are a perfect way to bond with your partner while mastering your swings together. Here's an exclusive offer for our listeners. If you mention Chiefs Central, you will get $10 off your first lesson. That's right, $10 off your first lesson. Take your game to new heights and enjoy the sport you love even more. Follow Golf by Gun on Instagram and Facebook for tips and updates, or reach out via email at golfbygun@gmail.com. See you on the course.
I thought that it was a complete 180 from the game before. I know you weren't there, but it was it was, like I said, a complete 180, a completely different team. They came out looking physical. They came out throwing the body. I mean, from the get-go, it was a really, really chippy game. Red Deer was throwing a lot of like higher hits, not necessarily headshots, but just like kind of taking runs at some guys. And then we kind of took notice of that and started kind of throwing it back. And uh, that those are the kinds of games when you miss having guys like Sarkinov in the
Mm-hmm.
lineup and Nathan Mays, who I don't know what's up with Mays, but I heard that Sarkinov got a little bit banged up in practice and he's just out day to day. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't heard anything on Mays other than I saw him walking around in the concourse and he looks like he's fine, but it could be anything.
Yeah.
Um, and with Coco Armstrong coming back too, that definitely helps kind of get a little bit more offensive firepower into the lineup
Mm-hmm.
too, and on the lower lines, which is great because T-Bone hustles his ass off every game too. So I think he fits in really well on that fourth line with Harris and Gillespie as well. So yeah,
My question is, why are we answering another team's physicality, or why are we not physical from the get go like we were at the start of the year?
that's what I'm not quite sure of either. Because I
Yeah.
mean, you watch those first two games up in Prince George, and in those games we're missing Cat and we're missing McIsaac, we're missing um, God, who else? I don't remember, but
No
I mean, we
Allen,
were
but yeah.
Cowan. I mean, we were missing a lot of guys up there that weekend, and you see, the younger guys, Nathan Mays.
Yeah.
I mean, Sage was throwing the body left and right and had a couple of huge hits. And then even the Sunday after that in Wenatchee, I mean, they were both throwing hits. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that really kind of slowly started to taper off. It's like we look a little bit timid out there now.
Yes. Yes. We're
And
we're adjusting to somebody else's style of play instead of just setting the tone with our own style of play. It's weird.
right, right. And you can't, especially with another team coming into your home arena with your fans and everything too, you can't let other teams come in and dictate the game like that. You have to, from the drop of the puck, you got to go out there and set the
Yeah.
tone yourself. Like you got to get out there and do what you guys need to do to be successful. And I feel like it's kind of like a on again, off again thing where we have a really bad game in all aspects, and the next game we come out and we play like we did first couple games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It's like consistency is key. And listening to the post game interviews with the players and the coaches and everything too, they all say the same thing. Like we just gotta stay consistent to how we know we can play and how we want them to play, and how the players want to play. And if you're consistent, then you're going to have success in the league. But if you're having a bad game and then following it up with a game that how you should be playing, it's like it kind of evens itself out and just kind of washes out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're not going to get very much success playing that style, like winning a game, losing a game, winning a game, losing a game. Like you got to find some sort of consistency.
Yeah, it's not there right now. It's been definitely up and down. If you were to graph it, it looks like an EKG right now.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, but going back to last night, a lot of really good things from the Chiefs last night. I mean, like I was saying, it was a complete 180 from the game before. Dawson Cowan back in net looked absolutely dialed in. I was talking to TC on the way out of the game last night and said that maybe Cowan just needed a game off because he had been looking a little bit shaky too in the previous,
We commented on that. Yeah.
while Essler was at the U17. He was playing, Cowan was playing every game. We called up Ryan Tamlin. He didn't play at all. But Cowan playing all those minutes and everything too, which obviously, goalies want to play every game. They want to
Mm-hmm.
get out there and battle, but sometimes it's just you got to take a day off and just sit on the bench with the boys and kind of get the other guy going and everything too. Because they
Yeah.
got to Essler's got to play some minutes. So
Yes.
um, I was telling TC, I said I think maybe just Cowan just needed a game off, sit on the bench and kind of regroup because I'll tell you what, he came out, made some huge saves in the first period, and from then on he was just absolutely dialed in, and he was a straight up brick wall in net last night. So it was really nice to see that after the poor defensive performance the night before.
Good.
35 saves shutout for Cowan, 16 saves in the third period alone.
Wow.
Just absolutely dialed in. 35 shots Red Deer had, so it was a 35 save shutout. But that being said, they could have had at least 50 or 60 if the Chiefs didn't play much better defense than they did the night prior as well. Sage was great. McIsaac was great. I thought Rhett Sather had a really good game yesterday too. He played a lot of minutes with Mays being out and everything. So getting those 16, 17-year olds that experience too
definitely.
is it's something that I feel like a lot of fans don't necessarily understand, that it's so important for
You got to get
their
them experience.
development too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I I really like the way that he played. He even, I mean, even late in the third period, we were only up, 2-0 at that point, and he was still sending Sather and Shetler out there with 5-6 minutes left in the third period, the 2-goal lead, like, and having that faith in him. And I'm sure, coaches having that trust in you to go do that at such a young age with such little experience is
Mm-hmm.
a huge confidence boost as well. So I mean, like I said, not much else I can say other than last night was a hell of a lot better than Friday night.
That's too bad for Red Deer. They went 0 on their trip.
Did they really?
They did not win a game because on the way home on Friday night, heard that they lost 5 in a row on the trip, and Spokane was their 6th game.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, it was a really, again, like I said, a really physical game. There's a couple of big dudes on Red Deer that were not afraid to kind of get down and dirty and everything too. What the hell was that? But there was a play in the third period where I texted you and told you about it. Van Olm kind of took a late hit down in the corner and had a hard time getting up, and you had somebody go after him. I don't remember who it was that went after the guy, but Van almost skating back to the bench. Play was still going. Some other guy, he's kind of hobbling, like one of his legs was like locked up, or whatever. And some guy came off the bench, and Van Olm some guy completely unrelated to the play as he was skating by. Van Olm just got pissed and just fucking two-handed slashed him and in the back of the leg. I thought that was pretty funny, but. But then he went down to the locker room with the trainer, and you could see him right down from our viewpoint at the seats, and kind of doing all these stretches, stretching it out. And, a minute and a half later, he's right back out there on the ice, going after the guy that took him out in the corner, kind of getting in his face. And then they got into a little scrum and sat for 2 minutes. And then Van Olm came out of the box next shift and put the puck in the back of the net to give us a 2-0 lead. And as he was skating to the bench, he gave him the old Hulk Hogan.
Uh-huh.
And love it. I mean, I love the sportsman, or what's the word I'm looking for? Not sportsmanship. Showmanship. Thank you. Yeah, the showmanship like that. I love that stuff.
I think there's no need for it in the game personally, but
I know you don't. It's hard to say, like, when emotions are running high too.
Right. I understand it, but I just don't think there's any room in it. I don't think it needs to be done. I think it's pretty tacky and immature, but they are just kids.
Yeah, for sure. No, I see what you're saying.
And it does get the crowd going.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
A couple shifts later, there was a net front battle in front of Dawson Cow, and he covered the puck, and post whistle scrum ensues, and Braden Crampton drops the mitts with a guy from Red Deer. Did you see that video of that fight?
I did.
Honestly, I thought that was a pretty good. I leaned down to the guy in front of me and I said, honestly, I low-key want Crampton to get his ass kicked.
Yeah. And it looked like a pretty even fight, because I've seen it a couple of times. And then him trying to get the crowd pumped up after an even fight, I thought was a little unnecessary too. If you would have clearly won the fight, maybe go ahead and do that.
Yeah. No, I agree for sure. I feel like Cam Parr does that every time, because I feel like he wins majority of his fights.
Yes,
he has
does.
more of a right to do it. Crampton's not much of a scrapper either.
No, that's 2 games in a row.
But I will tell you that sellout crowd last night, that was probably some of the loudest I've heard the arena in a long time. It was
good.
10,375 or whatever.
All it takes is $3 hot dogs to get the sellout in there.
I'll tell you what, I had one of those $3 hot dogs last night, and it tasted like shit.
I'm sure it did. It tasted like it should have been 3 cents, I'm sure.
It did, but you know what? There was a lot of crowd, a lot of fans.
How's your stomach today?
Actually, it's surprisingly okay.
Oh, good.
I was a little bit concerned about that.
Maybe if you just have one, you'll be okay.
Yeah, so I just had one. They were sitting in a warmer, in a little microwave warmer thing. So,
well, if you got them early, you'd be okay. They weren't maybe sitting there for the first 2 periods. If you got yours early,
I think it was first intermission. I got it.
Yeah, that's probably the safest way to do it for sure.
But yeah, I mean, the crowd was electric. Obviously, we hate the crowd, the big crowds in the concourses, but when you're in the rink, it's unreal. I mean, it's an unreal atmosphere.
Oh, it's got to be great for the players.
And I thought it was kind of cool that, most of those games that get like the big crowds are like against like a Portland or a Tri-City Having a team from the Central come in and having that crowd, I'm sure that was
Yeah.
cool for them too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know Red Deer, I don't think they play in that big of an arena up in
I'm not sure.
Canada, but playing in front of the big 10,000 plus
Yeah, that's cool.
fans it's got to be cool for everybody out there. And
Yeah.
the Chiefs, I felt like definitely fed off of that energy from the get-go too. Rasmus Ekstrom had a really good game last night too. I thought he was all over the ice. One of his better games of the season, I think. Owen Martin looked great. Chase Harrington was great. That, like we were talking about earlier, that third line with Martin, Harrington, and Papanicus was just absolutely everywhere last night. Looked
Nice.
so good, like just hounding the puck. The forecheck was so much better than it was the night previous, and it just all around a complete 60-minute game from these guys, and definitely refreshing to see after the kind of shit show performance the night before.
Well, we talked about it on Friday after even the game. Do you think they bag skated on Friday night?
I wouldn't have been shocked.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been shocked at all. Um, I just had a thought. I don't remember what it was. Um,
It's hell getting old, buddy.
God, tell me about it. Oh, that's what I was gonna say is Samo Remba finally gets his first goal as
Did he
Chief
good?
last night
Good.
too. Empty netter, great forecheck, and poked
Nice.
the puck off the Red Deer player's stick and went in. I'm sure even if it's an empty netter, I mean
Still.
it's huge to get the monkey off your back. I was actually talking with Rasmus Ekstrom's dad on Instagram or on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
second intermission, and we were talking about Oremba and how we both really want him to kind of get one to kind of get him going a little bit
Yeah,
too, because we know that he's more than capable of putting the puck in the
definitely.
back of the net. And I'm sure it's just, I mean, it's hard moving away from home too, because he came from Regina and that's where he's from too.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was tough, like a tough adjusting period, even as a 19-year-old. I mean, that's not
No, it
easy. You're
doesn't
moving
matter.
into a different country, and
Yeah.
um, so it was nice to see him finally get one, and the boys look pretty stoked for him to get it too. So I'm
Good.
hoping that gets him going a little bit. That they had
Yeah.
that second line of running with Oremba, Smith, Redmond, and Ekstrom, the second line, and they were again just as the third line hounding the puck last night, just
Nice.
all over the place. Um, and I kind of liked what Brad Lauer did with the Lions. Like kind of later in the game, he would sit one guy on one line and throw another guy out there just for a shift and kind of see how it
Mm-hmm.
all played out. Like for example, I saw a couple different times he put Owen Martin on the right wing on the first line with Catton and Van Olm,
Mm-hmm.
and put Preston down the third line for a couple of shifts with Poppy and Harrington, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of seeing how everybody kind of flows together. I like seeing Martin and Catton on the same line because I think that they could play together very well. But the issue with that is they're both natural centers,
Yeah.
and Owen Martin is really, really, really good in the faceoff dot, and
Yes,
I
he
think that's a
is.
guy that you want at center. So I think keeping him at the center spot, especially on that third line that's just been consistently solid all year, is
Yeah, but it's also
probably.
nice to know that you can put him and Catton on the same line late in the game when you need to win a draw. And if one of those guys gets thrown out of the circle, the other guy steps in.
Yeah,
You
that's a
got
very
two
good
guys.
point. That's a
Yeah.
very good point. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. That's a very good point. But I mean, yeah, it's just nice to see that he's not afraid to kind of switch things up, even when things are going well, like just kind of testing the waters with a couple of things here and there. One thing that I do not like that I don't know if we've really talked about it too much on here that I noticed last night was get close to getting picked off a couple times. That power play breakout that we do when
The
Crampton
drop,
sits
the
sits
drop
behind the
pass,
net. Yeah, he sits behind the net and comes up to the blue line and then just blind drops it back. I don't understand how more teams don't read that and pick it off.
they will.
Like well, and they do it in the NHL too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, I don't
No, I
see.
know every team does it, but I feel like sometimes we're very lazy with that drop pass. If you're deliberate with it and stuff too, everybody does it, but I feel like sometimes we get lazy with it.
Yeah, definitely. And
If you do it with purpose, it's effective.
well, yeah, if you put a little bit of power on your first pass back to Catton
Yes.
or
Yes.
Martin or whoever, it's like that's one thing. But I don't like when they come up and just kind of look right at the guy and then just blindly backhand
No,
drop it.
no.
It's like that should be getting picked off and put in your net.
Yeah, that'll probably happen.
I noticed it a couple of times last night, and I leaned down to the people in front of us and said, I hate that breakout so much.
Yeah.
I see why they do it because you get Catton and those guys going and get them up to speed and kind of flying through everybody. But what happens if a defender just puts a stick in and pokes the puck away? I mean, it happens more times than it doesn't.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That was just kind of one negative thing that I noticed. But other than that, honestly, a complete 60-minute effort from those guys, and it picked
Good.
up a huge 2 points with Tri-City losing another game, second game
Two
in
in
a
a
row
row.
out east. So Chiefs are back within 1 point of Tri-City for second place in the US. So
Nice.
definitely going to be a fun last couple of months here in the season. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see the race in the US division
Oh,
this
me
year.
too. It's always exciting, but it's nice to know we're kind of up towards the middle of the top finally.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. And I
Yeah.
think that if we can continue to stay consistent playing how we did last night, I think that we have more than enough of a shot to at least push to second place.
Me too.
So obviously
until Portland gets hot after the break like they always do.
no kidding. I mean, it is only the middle of November.
Yeah.
So I mean, we got so much season left.
Yeah.
Lots of hockey left, and had our first snowfall last night. So I guess that's kind of the first.
That was a little crazy. I kind of looked out the window at one point and I'm like, oh, the grass is white.
First official snow of the year. So I mean, I guess that means it's officially hockey season, right?
I guess it's here.
So some off ice news: Braden Crampton commits to Bowling Green State University in the NCAA. Pretty crazy week last week with once the one player signed with ASU or whatever and started committing. It's kind of cool to see all these guys in the CHL committing to NCAA schools.
Yeah.
Braden Crampton committed to Bowling Green State University, who is coached by former Silvertips coach Dennis Williams.
Yeah. I'm sure that's the allure for that school to get players there.
What a coach, man.
Yeah.
He really is. He's a great coach, and it's a big loss for Everett, I thought too. And it took Everett a long time to kind of find a replacement for him. Not a guy that's easily replaced.
No.
So, cool to see. Like I said, I want to say there was like 2 or 3 guys from the US division that committed to Bowling Green too.
There was more than a couple.
I guess I didn't really think of Bowling Green as much of a hockey school, but yeah, I mean, with Dennis, a coach as good as Dennis Williams is too, he might turn that around.
Why not?
But I can't get over how awesome it is that that they're able to do that now, that they changed that ruling. And I'm fully expecting to see more guys in the coming weeks signing and committing to these schools after their junior eligibility is done.
And once people learn how to navigate the whole process a little differently and stuff too, you're going to see some big stuff, I think.
100%. Well, and we're already seeing the impact of it in the WHL. I mean, I was telling you the stat that I saw the other night.
That's crazy.
I think 30 or 40 players had already, since the BCHL isn't a part of Hockey Canada anymore, they reinstated their eligibility to play major junior in Canada. And so they're eligible to sign with WHL teams, OHL teams, whatever, a lot of guys already have. There's some guys that left their BCHL teams to come and play in the Western Hockey League already. Example I actually just saw on Instagram about an hour ago. One of the guys who left one of the teams up in the BCHL signed with the Wenatchee Wild and played his first game tonight and picked up a goal and 2 assists on the blue line for him. So we're already seeing that impact in the WHL. So
nice.
That's another thing. I'm really curious to see if the Chiefs are going to end up doing anything with that, because
Me too.
I mean, we got a handful of guys in the in our system that we have the rights to that originally had chose to go play college. And with the rule change, now they're eligible to come and play major junior and still play NCAA after their junior career is over. I mean, I could think of a couple of guys off the top of my head that I was really curious to see. There's the Adam Boder, Landon Landon, what's his name, Lafelli or something like that. And there's one other one too that it's a pretty promising defenseman. But I'd be curious to see if any of those guys decide to leave the BCHL and come play for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Um, it's going to be really fun to see. I think it's like I was saying, it's huge for hockey in general, for junior hockey, college hockey, everything. It's going to make these players even better too, I think.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything about what you saw on Craig Button's thing the other day?
Oh yeah, that's good. I should do that. I think it was the Craig Button's like top 15 like preliminary 2026 NHL draft rankings for
Mm-hmm.
just a second. I'm actually gonna look up that list. Pretty cool stuff though. Craig Button, obviously a very knowledgeable hockey reporter up at
Yes.
TSN in Canada. Um, TSN Director Scouting Craig Button makes it clear that the 2026 NHL draft belongs to Gavin McKenna, Medicine Hat Tigers forward. No shock there. Kid is an absolute stud. He's in his 17-year-old season, still hasn't turned 17 yet, and he's already leading the league in scoring and has been pretty much all season.
Isn't that crazy?
Absolutely unbelievable. Craig Button says McKenna could have been the first pick last year, and he'd be the first pick this year, and there's no doubt he will be in the next year. Um, so that's one guy. At number 2 on Craig Button's list, Spokane Chiefs forward Mathis Preston.
That's pretty impressive.
That's got to be close to the highest. I mean, obviously, we're still a year and a half, 2 years out from
Right.
this, but hypothetically, say Mathis Preston goes second overall. It's got to be the highest in
Just the
Chiefs
hype.
history, right?
Yeah, just the hype he's creating.
I I, I can't believe, still watching this kid play. I can't believe he's only 16 with
No,
the way
me
that he
either.
plays, because he plays like a 19-year-old. I
Yeah.
mean, he is all over the ice. The kid's wheels are insane. He's smart as hell.
Yeah.
His passes are always tape to tape.
Yeah. He
Um,
appears to be a very dynamic player for sure.
I tell you, he's been on the line with Catton and Van Olm the last couple of games too. They have so much chemistry out there, just natural chemistry of just how skilled Catton and Preston both are. It's fun to watch those guys, kind of just watching them move it back and forth between
Mm-hmm.
each other. I love seeing that. But yeah, it's super cool to see that he's getting all this hype even at such a young age too, at 16. Um, see what he said. He said Craig Button says that number 2 is Mathis Preston, fresh off helping Canada White win gold at the U17 Hockey Challenge. Tournament leading 6 goals and 1 assist in 5 games. The 3rd overall pick by Spokane in the 2023 WHL Bantam Draft, Preston has 7 goals and 10 points in 14 games as a rookie. Button was quoted saying, "What an impressive, talented, and skilled offensive player. Lightning fast hands, lightning quick mind, offensive instincts off the charts. Reminds me a lot of Joe Sakic." I
Interesting.
definitely see that comparison too. So, I mean, it's so cool to see. And obviously, we love having those skilled guys like that with, Catton. And we're going to have Preston for a couple of years too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure we'll have more coming in. I know Ozzy McIntyre is going to be another good one to
Yeah.
watch coming in the next couple of seasons too. So, um, yeah, pretty cool stuff. And I like we've kind of said all year, I think hockey is really on the come up in Spokane for sure.
Yeah. Me too.
Um, did you have any overall thoughts on the games this week? I know you didn't watch last night,
I
but
didn't watch last night's because I had other things to do that were more exciting to me anyway, after watching Friday's game that I just could not stand. So
yeah,
I chose not to go last night and do other things. And I'm sorry I missed a good game, but at the same time, I couldn't after Friday either. It was so hard to watch. I was very frustrated, which I guess is a good thing to a degree too. It means I care, and it means I'm a big enough fan to care.
that's true. Yeah, very true. You're not wrong.
Enough to be frustrated, but no, nothing else I can think of. We'll see how they go from here until the Thanksgiving break for sure. You posted something on Facebook in the group today.
Yeah, so this kind of a new little segment we'll do on the show every week where There's a Spokane Chiefs fan group on Facebook where, I mean, there's almost 3,000 people in here um, that just kind of talk about, the games and the players and everything too, and just kind of share their thoughts. So I thought that it'd be kind of a good idea to ask if anybody wants to kind of, voice their opinion or ask us any questions that we could answer on the podcast and everything too.
No, I
And
think it's a good idea.
yeah, I posted it's about 6 hours ago and got quite a few responses already. So should we just dive right into that?
Yeah, let's go to that.
So let's see here. Kale asked, "What is up with Edwards? They knew who they were getting when they made the trade, yet when he was assessed the last major, it seems like they're gun shy, assuming he's a healthy scratch. Last night, Berkeley Catton might not have had to throw down if we had an enforcer of sorts."
Well, this is the one thing that you asked me at the start of this podcast that I mentioned on Friday that I want to talk about, because I did talk about it with you at the game on Friday, why he's not playing anymore, really. I know we have a lot of forwards, but we appeared to have gotten him for a reason at the start of the year, for some physicality and not, I want to say intimidation, but intimidation is still a part of hockey even these days. And even though the goon is out and all that kind of stuff, and I don't consider Edwards a goon by any means. But we kind of asked you that question on Friday. Why is he not playing more? Because this team was different, and this team set their own tone at the start of a game with him in the lineup. Whether that was just coincidence and that's the way the team was at the start of the year, or if that was a factor, I don't know.
Yeah, I know, I agree. And, to follow up on that, once again, he was out of the lineup on Saturday night. And with Coco Armstrong coming back, Cam Parr was a healthy scratch as well. So that's one less kind of physical, gritty guy that you don't have in
Mm-hmm.
the lineup. And, playing a team like Red Deer, who was throwing the body pretty
Mm-hmm.
heavily and everything too. It's like those are the kinds of guys that you kind of need out there for those types of games. And,
Yeah.
definitely isn't ideal not having guys like that when you have players taking runs at your star
Mm-hmm.
players and
Yeah.
everything too. I mean, like the comment said, Catton got into a scrum with a guy after a whistle, and Catton actually ended up kind of throwing a punch and knocking the guy down and got 4 minutes for roughing. But I mean, if you had a Campar or a Matt Edwards out there, that, maybe
Yeah.
he wouldn't have had to do that. Obviously, it's nice to see that he's able to and willing to do that. But at the
Correct.
same time, I leaned down to the guys in front of us and said, I don't want Cat fighting. Like
No. No.
that's the
I don't
last
think Cat
person.
wants Cat in fighting.
No. So, yeah, I agree. I think that that's kind of a guy that you need to have in your lineup. Whether with the amount of forwards that we have right now, whether Parr and Edwards kind of alternate and rotate in and out, I still think one of them needs to be in the lineup pretty much at all times.
Yeah, me too. And like I said, maybe just the look of the team changes, and it does as the year goes on with every team too. But that's the team that we compiled to start the season that was very effective.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I like we're kind of both in agreement on that he
yeah.
he
That
should be in the lineup.
that was a good question.
Very good question. Let's see. Ashton asks, with refing, do you believe that we shouldn't see the same consistent refs every game?
You
And
know,
really quick, I'm going to say that we had the exact same officials that we had both games this weekend, and
really,
I mean, I don't want to say they were terrible, but they weren't great either. So, um,
um, I know that it's a staffing issue more than anything as far as the league goes, because we both know of some very young linesmen that are in this league that we get sometimes at some of our games too. That I mean, are having to get they're definitely qualified enough to be linesmen. I'm not saying that they're not, but they're having to get special exemptions because of their age and stuff too to be able to do it, because they're basically short on bodies. That goes for
right,
linesmen. I'm assuming it's the same for actual referees too. It's not like you can fly two guys in for a Friday night game and fly two more guys in for a Saturday night game because you have an overflow of officials that are available.
right, yeah. Well, and it could be, with I know a lot of the same guys kind of travel around to the different U.S. division teams. Canada's a little bit different. I'm sure they have
Yes.
completely different refs. Like occasionally we'll get Zalaski or whatever coming down
Yes.
from Kelowna or Kamloops or whatever,
Right.
But at the same time, we see mostly, an Anthony Guzzo or Bobby Joe Love, stuff like that. I think
The
I
Koop
think
brothers.
the Coop brothers, yeah, I think it's tough because, like you said, it's a staffing issue. Um, but it's I think they try to switch it up as much as they can.
Hmm.
I'm sure because I know there's a couple of the officials, like we said, were our local guys,
Hmm.
Guzzo and Carruthers and
Hmm.
all that stuff too. So I'm sure they try to kind of switch it up as much as they can, but sometimes it's just not possible.
Exactly. And to be fair, this is a developmental league for them too. They're all looking to move up to play in higher and to work higher levels too.
Hmm.
So it's like, the good ones don't stick around here very long. They actually move up to the AHL,
Right.
the USHL, that kind of stuff too. So it's not like they're just in this pool and this is as far as they're going to go. They're all hoping to go on to the big time too.
100%.
Yeah.
And to go along with like the staffing thing, it's like you have sometimes like some of the linesmen will put on the stripes for a game too and put
Hmm.
on the armbands
Hmm.
and be the actual ref. I mean, Guzzo's done it, Stuart Carruthers has done it.
Hmm.
Um and like I said, they try to change it up as much as they can. I know that Friday night we had I don't remember who the other linesman was, but Carruthers was one of them. And then last night it was Anthony Guzzo and
And
Kean
and Kean,
Carruthers.
yeah.
Yeah. So they try to switch it up kind of as much as they can, but yeah, it's definitely more of a staffing issue than anything. I
I think
think I
so too.
agree completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see here. Kevin asks, who do we think should rock a mullet?
Sage needs a
Sage.
mullet.
I think
Just
Sage could pull off a mullet.
Parr's already got one.
I think Catton could pull one off too.
Nah, really?
I think he could.
I don't
I
know.
think he could do it.
I'd like to see Sage with a mullet.
Yeah, I could see it. Ekstrom has a little bit of a mullet too going, so
No.
he pulls it off too. I like that. I like that question. Let's see here. Andrew asks, trade wise, what do you think this team is missing? We made several moves, but with Armstrong back, people are going to be losing playing time. So
Right
this
now,
is kind of a huge thing going on right now with the amount of guys that we're having to sit.
yeah, I don't see a hole in this team. I really don't. If everybody plays as a unit to their capabilities, I don't see anything we're at deficit in at all. I don't. We have solid goaltending. I feel like we have solid defense. I feel like our offense is obviously capable of putting in the puck in the back of the net. I don't see anything to have to trade for now, honestly. But that's I don't know.
But right, no, I agree. I don't think we necessarily need to trade for anybody, but I think with the abundance of forwards that we have, I feel like there's some, I mean, you're gonna have to move at least one of these guys at some point.
But at what point do you do that? Because you're going to lose Catton at the World Juniors
Right, right,
and stuff too. Do you wait until the actual trade deadline to do something like that? Because let's just say between now and the trade deadline, you get one or two forwards hurt again
right,
and stuff
right,
too. I mean, we have experienced that in past years too, where we didn't have an extra body, even if we did have, a need for one at any point because everybody was out hurt.
yeah. Not only having to play three lines, and I mean that's
Yeah.
something that we had dealt with the last 3 seasons for
Yeah.
whatever reason. We just never had like the correct. I mean it's a good problem to have having the players available to play if needed, but at the same time it's like those are a 16, 17 year olds that need to get experience, or b
Right.
they're veterans like like Cam Parr sitting, Matt Edwards sitting,
Yeah.
18, 19 year olds that are, I
And
mean,
it's hard.
they don't want to be sitting.
It's hard to keep morale high if you're not getting playing time too. So yeah, it's a fine line. I wouldn't want to be Bardsley right now.
I and the other thing is I wonder if somebody's gonna get released or if we're gonna just trade somebody.
Well, let's
Because
just go. Yeah.
in all honesty, just hypothetically, I could see us dropping or releasing a guy like Matt Edwards at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're already sitting him, he's 19 years old. He wants to play. He doesn't want to be
Of course he does.
sitting in the stands.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a guy that, yeah, he's kind of a controversial player, I would say. But he has a role. He knows
Mm-hmm.
his role and he
That's why he
plays
was
his
brought
role
here.
well. And that's exactly why he was brought here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like, yeah, we have a lot of forwards, but play him.
Yeah.
Rotate him in too. Like don't just sit him or Par on the sidelines.
Yeah. It's not like you're high school basketball team, and you're going to have a C squad game after the varsity game's over, just so you can play a game.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting to see. There's been a lot of trades in the WHL lately, the last few days
yeah.
too. So, it'd be interesting to see if the Chiefs kind of do anything with those guys and
Do
stuff
you
too.
see?
But
Do you think we, let's just say this? Do you think we do something where we play trade two or three players for a big name player at some point?
good question. I hadn't thought about that.
I just did just now. Yeah.
So like you said, I this is something that I've been thinking about the last couple of days too. I don't think it would hurt to trade for a big name solid defenseman.
Yeah.
I like our defensive core right now, finally, after however many years of having just, with lack of a better term, dog shit defense. But
Okay. Just
I mean,
tell us how you really feel.
we finally have a solid top four.
Yes.
And then you have Rhett Sather, Owen Shetler, who's I think Owen Shetler is going to be a top four guy here
Yes.
at any time. And then Caden Allen's going to be an up and comer. Rhett Sather's going to be an up and comer. He's, they're good too, and they obviously are more than capable of playing in the league. But I think with it as a contending, I think we have the potential to be a contending team, whether it's this year, next year, 2 years. I think if we could trade for a big name, solid 18, 19-year-old
Mm-hmm.
defenseman, that would really benefit these guys right
Mm-hmm.
now, especially on the back end. We have, I think about a guy like when we traded for Noah King
Mm-hmm.
in 2018 or whatever it was. Um, I mean, how big of a role he played on that run that year, and
Mm-hmm.
then the following year when the COVID season, how good he was on the blue line
Mm-hmm.
with Ty Smith. Having a guy like that you can bring in, that's hypothetically a NHL draft prospect for the season.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say like we bring in like I can't even think of anybody off the top of my head, but like a guy that's predicted to go in the third, fourth round or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Make trade a couple guys and a couple picks for him.
Mm-hmm.
He comes up through our system, gets all this experience. 2 years down the or next year, host the Memorial Cup. You have top line defense, this person that we traded for, and a guy like Nathan Mays, who's going to be in his 19-year-old season, kind of a guy to kind of bring each other up, um, kind of building toward potentially winning a cup. Like
Mm-hmm.
I mean those kinds of moves I think are crucial to contending teams too. So
No, I agree.
uh, I have been thinking about that. I think we're set offensively. Obviously, we have the abundance of forwards right now too.
Yes.
And we have the scoring. I mean, I don't think scoring is an issue.
No.
Um, top two lines are burying the puck in the back of the net at a really solid rate. So I don't think that, and even the third, fourth lines are contributing too. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
forwards are an issue. And I don't think defense is an issue either. I just think that it would be very beneficial to everybody on the defensive end to have another solid big name guy come in,
Yeah. No, I
preferably
agree.
like a defensive defenseman,
Yeah.
stay at
Well,
home guy.
let's revisit this part of the podcast when the trade deadline comes. See how accurate we are.
Yeah, no kidding. Um, Also, I wanted to tell a really quick, funny story about what happened to me yesterday when I was at work.
Oh boy.
So I was headed back to the station after making all my stops, probably 2:30 in the afternoon, and uh, I was driving down Maxwell, crossing the intersection of Maxwell and Post right there, kind of by the arena, and I had a green light and I was going, 33 or whatever, and all of a sudden this car comes down Post, just gunning in a SUV, just absolutely flooring it, and then I thought he was just gonna pull out in front of me and run the red light, slammed on the brakes, and I look, Matt Bardsley just about T-boned me in my work truck.
What?
I literally said out loud, Bardsley, what the hell, man?
Oh,
Like,
that's funny.
I just thought that was kind of interesting. He looked like he was in a hurry.
That's funny. Yeah, you could have gotten yourself tickets for the rest of the year.
That's what Chloe said too. She goes, "Man, you could have had free season tickets."
Wow, that's crazy.
That's pretty funny. But yeah, no, that's kind of an interesting little funny tidbit that I wanted to share.
Slow down out there, Matt.
No kidding. It's gonna get slick soon, buddy.
That's right.
Other than that, thanks for all the questions. I think that's
Yeah, we'll
about
do
all
that.
we got.
We'll do that again.
Yeah, I like that idea. It kind of gives us a little bit more to talk about.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what the next week brings.
Yes, we will. Go Chiefs, go, baby.
Go Chiefs, go.